one of the most popular cars that we work on is this vehicle that we have behind me today. So this is a brand new Chevy Corvette C8, a very popular car for a lot of our car rental customers. And we have shops all over the country that ask us, how do you do these installs on these cars? So we're going to start doing a lot more of these videos, and today the first one that I'm going to show you is this Corvette C8. So here's the GPS kill switch itself. So this is the actual main module. And the first thing that we like to do is that we want to turn on the backup battery. So to do that, take off the cover and flip the switch up over here. Okay? So once that's flipped to the side, that automatically turns on the unit. And once it turns it on, it also helps get it online a lot quicker. So we're going to go ahead and start working on the harness itself. So here's the harness that you see here. And I have my solder getting hot, so we're going to be using our handy dandy solder today. And so I'm going to go ahead and take this apart. And this is an additional wiring that we don't use, so we go ahead and just cut this off. We don't need it. We're only using 4 wires off the harness today. So the 4 wires that we're going to use is that we're going to use the red wire for a constant 12 volt power. And this can work anywhere between 9 and 90 volts. So if you have 24 volts or 36 volts, this unit will still be compatible. The black wire on the harness is the ground. The orange wire on the harness is the ignition, so this is what tells us that the GPS tracker is on. And then the yellow wire is sending a ground signal to the relay, which the GPS tracker comes equipped with. Okay, so for now, we're gonna go ahead and so since we are doing the car today in a Chevy Corvette C8, this is for one of our car rental customers, so we will want to use the relay. So we're going to use the relay, and the first things first is that we want to integrate the relay into the harness. So what we're going to do is that we're going to actually remove the cap from this yellow wire that you see here, and we're going to hook this up to the power. So I'm just going to strip a little bit of the power wire, as you see, and take the relay wire and connect it to the power, because that's going to be going to the 12 volt constant. Okay, and then we're going to take the yellow wire. So we're just going to open up the harness a bit, and we're just going to figure out, okay, let's cut it over here. My crimpers, cut that, strip the wire. Okay, and then I'm just going to connect the yellow wire on the harness to the yellow wire on the relay itself. Okay, so once I have that, I'm going to go ahead and get my solder out. So I'm gonna solder these wires together, just so to improve the connection. And you know, if you don't like to use a solder, you don't have to use a solder. You can use butt connectors or whatever it is that you prefer to use. Okay, so so we got this wire good and working, and then let's go ahead and do the same for the power wire. Okay, so once we have that going, we're going to use our test tape. We're going to cover it all up. One more. So now that we have that good and going, we're going to go ahead and let's move to the vehicle so we can wrap this thing up. The first thing that we're going to want to do here is that once we have the fuse box taken apart in this C8, we're going to want to know what we want to integrate into. So I'm going to go ahead and find a 12 volt constant. So the vehicle's off right now. Got 12.2 over here, 12.2 over here. Got 12.2 over here. I got, I already know that this yellow wire, this thicker yellow wire, which is already grounded right now, this is going to be my starter, so I'm going to cut into this, and this is where I'm going to integrate the relay. And then there's a yellow or a gray and yellow wire over here that is also grounded right now, so it shows me as no power when the vehicle's off, and this is going to be my ignition. So what I'm going to use is I'm actually going to probably use this thicker. So I'm going to use this first red and gray wire for my power. I'm going to use the yellow and green for my starter, and I'm going to use this gray and yellow for my ignition. And then for the ground, there's I could get the chassis from right back over here, so that's what I'm going to do. So let's go ahead and begin getting everything going. So first things first, let's kick things off with the power part of it. This a few times, so I know how sharp my tools are. Do not try this at home. Cut. Up. So take my, don't use too much leeway on the wire, so I'm just going to cut a little bit here, throw it out. Do not take my word for it which color wire you should use. You should always use a power probe to test out which wire works best for you. I think it's important that before you cut any wires that you have it tested, just so that you know that they're the right wires to use. Every vehicle is different, you know, depends on what series you're talking about. I've seen some Vettes with just yellow starter wires. This one here is yellow and green. So every one could be different. It just depends on what the manufacturer decided to do, etc. So now, go ahead and get my test tape out. Sure that it's fully covered. It is. Going there. We could go directly into our ignition, so let's go ahead and just cut that up here. So splice into it again. Go ahead and shave off a little bit of this harness because I don't need it to be too long. And we're going to tape everything up and zip tie it once it's all said and done, just to clean up the wiring. Good connection here before we do the soldering. And let's get the test tape out, let's wrap the wire. going with the relay. So actually now we are going to be cutting the starter wire. So again, it's a thicker wire in this vehicle.
I think it'll make more sense that way.
So we're going to get ready to the harness. It's this here. And we usually use shrink wrap for the wiring, but just for the sake of this video, I'm going to use tester tape. Those out for you guys that work at other shops.
And make sure to get his good side. I don't know which side that is, but.
Good. A little bit of space and solder these wires.
Left there, and then in westbound area, 3 lanes are blocked.
Started here, so we need to get our relay plugged in here. We've got the ignition going, we have the power. All we have left is the ground, so let me go get my number 10 wrench, open that up, and we'll be ready to go. Test it, make sure everything's powering on and working good. But where you actually hide the kill switch itself is important, because you want to make sure the customer knows where you're using this. Now that's not as important if you're using it for business use, such as this case here, because this is a kill switch that hopefully won't be turned on very often, because this is going to be used for a car rental use case. But if you're using this for personal use, plan to use it every time you park somewhere or something along those lines. In case of emergencies, you should know where your kill switch is. So, drill. Here. Alrighty. Now that we have our ground, we're able to go ahead and test everything out. So let's go ahead and plug it in. So from a minimum, there should be lights now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna flip the switch down and plug it in. Let's see if we have some lights. Yeah, we have lights. So at a minimum, we know the power and ground is working. So for the sake of the video, we're typically what we would do now is we would go ahead and test the ignition, we would test the kill switch, we'll test the battery voltage, just to make sure that everything is going, everything's working as expected. But we're gonna go ahead and put everything back together, and then once everything's done, we'll show you guys the kill switch on our app, and we'll go from there. So once we get in, first thing we're gonna do, we have our app open. So I'm gonna go in here and send the command to kill the car. And as you see, car doesn't start. Keys right here. So that's not the issue. So car's been killed, starter's been interrupted. If you have any customer that is late on their payments, or they're not returning the car on time, or unauthorized driving, whatever it may be, car's killed, it won't start unless you click the disable kill switch button, go in here, turn it back up, no issues, everything's working as